We learned yesterday that CEOs are feeling more optimistic about business conditions and the state of the economy, but are they bullish enough to start hiring? Our senior markets correspondent Julie Hyman joins us once again from the Business Council meeting in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. No truth to the rumor that because it's so nice there, she's not coming back. Julie, you talked to Motorola Solutions CEO Greg Brown about his hiring plans. What did he have to say?
Well, he talked about that there is indeed a lot of optimism about the economy, not just for him, but for the Business Council more broadly. Let's listen to what he had to say.
In terms of momentum economically, I think the confidence of the Business Council here is probably the highest it's been in 4 years. About 40% of the companies here plan some level of hiring in 2011. That's almost triple what it was a year ago.
So in the Business Council survey of these CEOs, they were asked, different ways that they were going to achieve their profit goals. 51% of them said that they are indeed adding workers in selected product and talent skill areas. About a third of them are indicating an overall acceleration in hiring. But there are some caveats to all of this seeming optimism about the economy and about hiring. That 1/3 that I just talked about is the same as October. So it's not clear that this trend is actually improving. And indeed, when I talked to Brown, even though he said he's hiring, he definitely expressed some caution. Let's listen.
I do think we'll expand. I think it'll be more surgical and incremental. We don't want to get out in front of our headlights. Our government business grew 5%. The enterprise business grew 19%. We have gone through significant resizing to make sure that the footprint and the asset base can be earned off of as we move forward. I do think there'll be opportunities for hiring, but I would characterize it as relatively modest going forward.
So again here, he's cautious, especially given that, remember, the new Motorola Solutions, not to be confused with the mobile phone maker Motorola Mobility Solutions, makes things like two-way radios and communications equipment for safety and security folks, people who are employed by local governments by and large, and as we know, their funding is being cut. So this is something that he is a little bit cautious about. That said, Motorola Solutions, since the spinoff became official on January 4th, Mark, the shares have been rising, as have shares of Mobility. So far, it seems to have been positive in the eyes of shareholders.
Julie, you also spoke to the CEO of Arch Coal, the company recently announcing it's having problems at one of its mines and cut its production targets.
That's right. It did cut its production targets just at its last earnings report. The company said that this year it's going to sell 155 to 160 million tons of coal. That's much as about 4% lower than the company sold in 2010. And this is something that analysts were concerned about. They said, this particular mine, which is the Mountain Laurel operation in Logan Country, West Virginia, that perhaps it would be offline for much of the year and that would cause some problems for Arch. Well, I did talk to the CEO of Arch about that very issue, and he said, indeed, there were some issues with one part of the mine not perhaps being safe for production yet, and another part of the mine wasn't ready for production yet. But he says those issues are now being resolved and that it should actually be back online by April. So he is now more optimistic about the production outlook. Listen, Lynn.
Well, we're starting to feel a little better about it.
Okay.
So, but, we haven't updated anything. We're not going to here. But right now, you would be encouraged about it.
So again, he's not willing to change that production target quite yet. On the other hand, again, he is more optimistic about the outlook, and he also said demand looks good, even though there's some concern about demand from China and what effect that might have on overall coal pricing. He says it's still going to be robust enough to support it, even as China tries to sort of control its economy. I should mention that Arch Coal, the stock, has been on a tear over the past year, up almost 50% as the prices of energy across the board have risen, but it is down this year by around 4 to 5% based on the problems at that mine and based on the production issues. So Arch Coal, interesting situation there, because you do have rising prices of energy and commodities, and yet, you got to get this stuff out of the ground to take advantage of that.
Julie, I was going to ask you, it seems like, I don't want to say a sea change, but it's interesting. The president out west meeting with some tech CEOs, business council CEOs meeting today. Any sense that there may be some of this healing that the White House has talked about in the relationship between the White House and business?
Well, if you look again at the Business Council survey and you talk to folks here, there has been at least some of that healing. They have responded relatively positively to the stimulus. They certainly like that compromise tax package that was passed at the end of last year. But really the number one priority that they have is deficit control. And as we know, there's still a lot of battles being done on that front. They're also concerned about the tax code. They want that to be simplified. And so that doesn't seem to be an issue that's being directly addressed right now by Washington, Mark.
All right, Julie Hyman reporting from the Business Council meeting in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.